o'clock, I'll call this meeting to order. Please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Steve's on vacation, but the rest of us are here. We have some FFA guests that will be presenting in just a little bit. I don't think we have any other guests tonight. Okay. All right, public comment. This is the point in the meeting for comments on matters not already on the agenda. Comments on agenda items will be accepted when that item comes up during the meeting. Interested persons may also submit views in written form to the clerk or superintendent prior to the meeting, and those comments will be brought to the attention of the board during the meeting. Any public comment? Jim.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the council. My name is Jim Atchison. I'm the Executive Director of Southeastern Montana Development based here in Colstrip. If you're not aware, we are a regional nonprofit economic development group that covers and serves the 4 counties of Custer, Rosebud, Powder River, and Treasure. I'm here tonight for a couple things, so I'll be as quick as I can on the agenda. And I do have a handout, but I would like to officially thank you and the school board for allowing us to use the facilities here back in August. I know this is November, but anyway, for the 21st Annual Energy Open Conference and Golf Tournament, I'd like to publicly thank Robin and her team, especially the maintenance people and the custodians and all of those folks. Fantastic event, and I do have a handout if I could hand this out.
Yep.
And on the front page there, as that's circulating there, some pictorial, and on the back page is the golf tournament. But just wanted to bring to your attention, this is the 21st Annual Energy Open, and we started it back in 2004 to showcase the economic benefits of responsible energy development. And I think we've been in this facility 21 of those 21 years, so thank you for that. We had a record number of attendees, over 100, and of course the golf course was maxed out. We had to bring in golf carts from Forsyth, Hardin, and I believe Roundup, just to accommodate all the golfers, and so that was the second day. We also had Voices of Montana Live, doing a live interview, statewide interview for the Energy Open. We had speakers there, probably the best speaking group that we've ever had. Brian Bird, CEO of Northwestern Energy, was there, probably the first time that we've had somebody of his caliber in Colstrip. Brant Johnson was also the leader of the Grid United transmission line, Dr. Rita Barnewall with Westinghouse Nuclear, and of course Emily Nichols and Levi Larson with the Idaho National Labs, which are currently doing a technical study in the Colstrip area. That should be completed here shortly. And then we had the banquet keynote speaker was Paul Green, the new director of the Montana Department of Commerce. So I'm going to leave that on that, but you can look at that at your leisure or after hours. But once again, thank you. It's a great feeling when you have these out-of-state people come to our community and see the facilities we have and the energy opportunities that are percolating, pending in this area. And so we're very excited to show off your facilities and the Colstrip community. And actually one of the tours is the quality of life tour around the community. And we take some of this for granted. I know those of us that live here, but do not do that, because we have a lot of smaller communities are very envious and would love to be in our situation. So second thing, I'll go rather quickly. After the back the track session last week, and I did a little research because I was kind of quiet at that meeting, and but I knew in the severance, the permanent coal severance trust fund, there's some sub trusts, and one of them is school facilities. And I thought, well, that's interesting. I wonder what those funds are used for. Can we access those for your situation here in Colstrip? So I looked into it, and there's 206 million. I knew it was that was a pretty high number. I didn't know it was 206, but and Brittany is aware of it. So Representative Perry and I went and visited with Brittany. I think it was Friday, and she was aware of it, and it's probably not going to help us like I thought we could access those funds, but the interest is available, and that's what Brittany's aware of, and so we'll Representative Perry and I will continue to look for funds to help you during this situation, and hopefully that will end up here very positive in the next few years. Also, last but not least, 2 years ago, we held at the legislative session the Colstrip legislative reception. Some of you may have been there. This is another one of those things that we're very proud of in Colstrip. We're probably the only community that has their own reception at the legislature. So anyway, FYI, and it's a great time because a lot of VIPs and the legislators are there. And you were a sponsor 2 years ago at the last session, and I wanted to hand this out. It looks like this. It's a who's who of very important businesses in the state of Montana and some of the sponsors. I'm glad you were a sponsor last year, and I'm going to remind you that this year is February 3rd, and there will be a lot of people there, and you should be a sponsor again. I can talk the details with you later, but put that on your calendar, and we're going to have quite an event up there at the legislature, February 3rd in Helena. And so, Brittany, I can hand this out as well. So this is a two-sided handout, and then I'll be quiet. So there you go. Thank you.
Thank you, Jen.
Unless there's any questions.
No, we appreciate you looking into that fund for us.
Yeah, we'll continue to look, and then maybe there's something out there. So thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Okay, FFA National Trip Presentation.
Alrighty, thank you for having us at this meeting. We could have came to the earlier one, but I think we all needed that time to recuperate and get back in a schedule. At least I know I did. I'm pretty sure they did too. For those of you who don't know me, which I'm pretty sure everyone does, I'm Andrew Ferret, FFA advisor for Colstrip FFA. I have 4 of our 6 came with us, but you can't really get around personal matters or work sometimes. So I got at least the majority of our group that went to nationals. We have Charlie, Keenan, Brand, and Margaret. With our slides that I shared with Evan, we are just going to go through some of the highlights, what we did day to day, some of the funny pictures, stories, that sort of thing as quick as we can without taking too much of a full schedule. And then I want them to share some of the things that they took away from it. But I'll let them kick it off. Whoever wants to take the lead, I'm going to sit back, and this is your guys' show to start and explain what we did and go from there.
So this is our slide for our National FFA. And Monday, October 21st was our first flight down. We took our flight from Bozeman to Atlanta, which was about 3 hours, and we waited an extra hour to take the flight from Bozeman to Atlanta. For our first flight, for our first flyers, like first time flying, was me, Charlie, Maxine,
Corbin, I think.
and Corbin. Yeah. At the Atlanta airport, it was pretty big, one of the biggest ones we've been to. It was a good experience, a lot of people there, and that's some information about the plane.
So that was my information. They gave me a card at the airport. And I do like planes, and so I just put those on there. I don't know.
They're being very modest. They have the opportunity to sit in the cockpit of the plane before takeoff and learn some information about that. They're being very modest and humble about that, but it was pretty cool. Nikki Moline actually set that up for us. She went and asked and was brave enough to say, hey, there's quite a few of these kids that have not flown before. Is there a possibility to do this? And they said absolutely. So it was pretty cool.
Nice.
Whenever you guys want to move to the next slide, you can just tell me, move on, and I'll go to the next one. Ready?
Oh, that was my favorite part. If you notice right there in the corner there, that is the original Smoking the Bandit Trans Am that was in the Country Music Hall of Fame. So I got pictures of that one.
Food there was really good too.
There's those little costume deals there. Those are, I believe, Elvis's wardrobe that we took pictures of. That was fun. And on the Music Hall of Fame, they had like a mini restaurant built in there, so that was kind of fun. And you could get lost in there. It's kind of scary. Oh, that there, so the farthest one here at the chair, that was Luke Combs, one of the, everybody kind of knows him. That was his, in that particular chair, apparently, what I was reading is, that's where he wrote his #1 hit when he first took off. And then that's the Oliver Anthony booth, and then the Jelly Roll little glass cabinet usually have for him. Oh, this is my favorite part. Mr. Keenan here went and got the Nashville hot burritos. 2 bites in, that's about it. And that was the little, nobody really knows about it anymore, but that was one of the hee-haw cutouts there for an old show, so Keenan jumped in. That's walking downtown Nashville, which is slightly scary. Like nobody's in.
We walked down and saw a bunch of just for a quick tour before we got on the road again, there was all of the country music artists, bars and stuff, just to see the signs and see everything and hear some of the live music. I think that was pretty cool, and I know the other 2 crews that were with us from Townsend and Three Forks really enjoyed that too. And I'll say, just as a preface before we keep going, it was really cool to see all of the kids from all 3 schools really mesh and blend together by the end of the week. It was a little awkward at first where we didn't know everybody, but by the end of the week, they were tied at the hip, and you would have thought they were our own students by the end of it from other schools too.
Oh, that's the Elvis's Cadillac picture, one of the ones, and then all those records were the #1 hit records from all the artists. It's a huge wall in there that I took pictures of, sort of. What was that?
And this was our Lost River Cave tour. It was in,
Bowling Green, Kentucky.
Bowling Green, Kentucky. It was really cool. They had us they talked to us about how the cave was formed and how the water would flow in, and they would occasionally have to close it for some time, and they would lose business for it, but they would have other attractions, like trails throughout their whole thing, whatever they owned. And the water was cool too. It was like this greenish color, and you can see down there in the bottom right.
Those are more pictures of it, the green water, and supposedly, which is an idea, they do proms and weddings in that little venue deal. It's underneath the rock wall, and it's got somewhat electricity in there because you can't see nothing. But the live bar there, what they do is they take, it's only like 400 yards in a cave, but they make you sit in a boat, but the rocks are right here, so you got to lay down the bottom of the boat, so you hit your head off. That was kind of entertaining. Woo!
I was at the Kentucky Derby Museum. We had a lot of fun there. We like this little simulator in there. I found that really fun. But they just had the gates, and you got to go down and see the field and just see all of it. It was really cool.
Yeah, there's some of the pictures from it. It's frowned upon to take the dirt from the racetrack. That's what the guy was telling us. So we didn't take any dirt. But,
Nobody tried it. He said it before anyone got the idea, just to clarify that one.
Oh, that was a invention there. We got to go walk into this giant stadium, and that's when you get to learn about your people skills. When you're crammed in this little building, a huge building, but seems little. There's thousands of people walking around, and every floor you got to go up another escalator and another one, and then finally you get up to the very peak of the area where you can find a seat. So that was entertaining.
So this is where I met everyone. I had flown down on Friday, so I had been there already 5 days at this point, I think. And we had been practicing with the band for about 9 hours a day for the past 5 days. And the middle picture there was first session, which had 25,000 people in attendance.
Wow.
And I played with the band in front of all those people. And those other pictures are just right after that, when I was with everyone else getting dinner and walking around town.
And did you go back?
Yeah.
There? Sorry. And all the restaurants we went to, the top right, they were old, and it was just super cool because it was just antique looking. I just really loved them.
Don't forget your checkbook.
That's Dale Brisby. He's kind of He's a Texas rancher, he's a YouTuber. And I found him pretty amazing.
Yeah, so this is kind of my side of the story. So I had multiple concerts. I played at every session, or almost every session, and we had two concerts in the Arts Garden, which is in the bottom left side. That's a group picture we took of everyone else. We had two concerts there, and like I said before, we played in front of 25,000 people at the first session, and around 15 to 20,000 on every other session. And in the bottom right picture, you can see me standing up there, I'm standing up there because I was marching down. You had to march down in front of everybody while playing, and I just like to say it inside the Lucas Oil Stadium, which is where it was. I haven't been in a building that big before. I was surprised at how big it was, and it was amazing. It was a life-changing experience.
Oh, that was the Temple of Grand Yeshiva. Boy, that was the best probably. Yeah, it was a long wait in there. We were sitting there for like 3.5 hours as they were doing all the other stuff. And then finally she got to speak, and that was one of the greatest presentations I think we ever got to go to.
She talked about like how they're like smart, like how Temple Grandin is. I don't really know how to say it.
She kind of was talking, her main idea was how the world needs different kinds of thinkers, whether it's your analytical, your hands-on, that sort of thing. Because she has autism as well as some other things going on, where she has been put in a different box for a long time than other people, but she's one of the foremost people in the world of agriculture and autism for livestock handling for the ag piece. And I have never seen a more loud applause at a national FFA event from the few I've been to than when she spoke to everybody at convention. Everybody was there at that session for her, stuck through the 2-hour wait just to hear her for 10, 15 minutes as she was speaking. And I think everybody of our crew enjoyed that as well, with the exception of how early we had to get up to get there.
Yeah.
But no, it was awesome to hear her speak. And I was very fortunate to show these kids her speak, because I've heard her talk before at Montana State. She came and spoke at the school, but seeing her on a national stage was pretty cool.
Oh, what a glorious place. And there's this place called Bucky's. It's in Kentucky. You have never lived here. There's a fudge bar. It's like they make fudge as you're sitting there. A brisket bar, so they make fresh brisket sandwiches while you're sitting there. They've got a jerky wall full of every jerky you could ever imagine in your whole life. Coffee bar, candy. This was glorious. We even got a shirt from Bucky's at this place. And on the last day when we were heading back, the Bucky's costume guy came out, so we ran right over it. That was a glorious place. It's like a Walmart. It has home goods, shopping stuff, and they've got to put one in Montana. It's a glorious place. Oh yeah, that's when we're flying. That first picture's flying down there from Bozeman. Second picture's when we flew over. So between Atlanta and Nashville, there was no break in city lights at all. So I got to take a picture, and then the third picture's flying over Utah. It's kind of cloudy, but yeah, I didn't care for landings or takeoffs, but other than that, it wasn't bad. That's about it.
That's all right. Thank you guys for letting us go.
Questions or comments from you guys before we're done?
That was great.
It was really good. Thanks for bringing that back.
Thank you.
Thanks for representing us, Brand, at the band, and all of you guys. That's really good. I'm glad you guys got to experience that.
I don't know if Brand mentioned it or not, but he was the only representative from the state of Montana in the national band too. So not only was he representing our community, but he was representing the entire state of Montana. And there was another member who was in the national chorus, who was actually Mrs. Kirsten's daughter. She was in the national chorus, so it was a pretty good representation from this corner of the state.
Good job.
Good job, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's the first place I took last when he flew to Texas. No kidding.
All right, moving into new business, 5.01, employment substitutes.
Let's see. Okay, so we've got a couple to recommend. Can we do them same time? Sure. Okay. Tanisha Kirkaldi and Renita Altacruz. I think I got that right.
I move the Colstrip Public Schools Board of Trustees approves Tanisha Kirgaldy and Bernita Altacruz for district substitutes for the 24-25 school year.
Second?
Okay, motion and a second. Any public comment on this agenda item? Any board comment? Wade?
Aye.
Tiff?
Aye.
Angie?
Aye.
Aye. 5.02, employment extracurricular, Mr. Dusel.
I would like to recommend Deanna Patton for the position of Colstrip High School Art Club sponsor.
I move the Colstrip Public Schools Board of Trustees approves Deanna Patton, CHS Art Club sponsor for the 24-25 school year.
Second.
Any public comment on this item? Any board comment? Okay, Angie?
Aye.
Tiff?
Aye.
Wade?
Aye.
Aye. 5.03, MTSUIP unemployment agreements. Brittany, is this one you?
Sure.
Okay.
Well, they just are pretty much just upgrading or updating their bylaws. So I included in the board agenda what the important ones are, if you guys had a chance to look over those. There wasn't anything that stood out to me as, except if we were to not want to be a part of MTSBA, that would affect us now, I guess. Now that they include that, but I'm already a member of MASBO, and then we're members of MTSBA, but those are the only two things I really saw. But everything else looked to be normal, and we use them already, so they're really just updating their bylaws, so. And then I think a couple signatures have been received, it's just waiting on mine, so I'll sign it as soon as you guys agree to it here, and we'll be good to go.
I move the Colstrip Public Schools Board of Trustees approves multi-district participation agreement with the Montana Schools Unemployment Insurance Program.
Second.
Any public comment? Any board comment? Wade?
Aye.
Tiff? Aye. Angie?
Aye.
Aye. All right, 5.04, policy 3141, non-resident student enrollment. This is our second reading, right?
Yep.
Okay,
Yep, policy changes for all non-resident student enrollment applications to be due by the first Friday in March.
I move the Colstrip Public Schools Board of Trustees approves the second and final reading of policy 3141, non-resident student enrollment, to change the application due date.
any public comment? Board discussion?
I just want to make sure that we get those letters out as soon as we,
Yep, so one thing
In
we are
January.
waiting for is OPI is in charge of the form,
okay,
and they don't have the 24-25 released yet on their website. As soon as they do, we have to adopt it, but we can adopt it on a first reading, and then we can push it out.
perfect.
So
Good.
It came out last year in March. So
I
I'm
think they would
hoping it'll
have
be
to do it
sooner.
earlier.
Yeah.
'Cause some schools have February as their
Yeah.
date.
Yeah,
So hopefully it'll be sooner, and that was kind of a
yeah.
Yeah.
whole thing last year anyway, so.
But we keep looking, making sure, checking for updates.
Good.
Okay, wait.
Aye.
Tiff?
Aye.
Angie?
Aye.
Aye. All right, 5.05, CCA, SLPA, MOA, revised.
Yep, just the titles revised, make it match up with the Faculty Association. So it was on there, it needs to go to the Colstrip Classified Association to be the title of this, since it's a classified MOA.
Okay, so it needs to be,
The wrong union was.
It's just the
Okay,
wrong
gotcha.
name was at
Okay.
the top, yeah.
I move the Colstrip Public Schools Board of Trustees approves the revised speech, language, pathology assistant MOA with salary tiers for the 24-25 school year as presented.
Second.
Any public comment? Or discussion? Tiffany?
Aye.
Wade?
Aye.
Angie?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, 5.06 CFA math stipend MOA. Brandy's already made her way up here.
Hi. How are you guys?
Good.
Good. So it's been a challenging year staff-wise, and we know that sometimes when teachers have longer leaves, increases that potential for staff shortages. And of course, OPI has changed some of the different things that have to happen with long-term sub jobs. Even from the time that I was on maternity leave, things have changed where we used to be able to have someone who was not certified go for X amount of time, then they'd have to take a day off, they could continue. Now they really have put some restrictions on that. So
that is no longer an option, right?
yeah, you have to have a certified or a teacher of record. It's kind of changed some of those pieces.
Okay. Yep.
So what's happened is we've had to make some different staff changes at the high school, and that as just a temporary fix while we're waiting for that staff member to come back. And we were working with a weekly wage that they could earn for working the extra hours because they've still maintained their other responsibilities during this time.
Right.
So we had come to an agreement that we would do a one-time stipend for this, and that's what the MOU is for. Trying to compensate for those people who have been stepping up and helping out in this difficult situation.
Okay. I was wondering if before we vote on this, if we could look at just a couple words, changing a couple words.
Sure.
Where it says transfer stipend, I'm wanting that to just be stipend because I don't want that language to necessarily match up with transfer stipends that are in the contract because this is different. And then where it says return to their original teaching positions, I just want original teaching duties because they didn't really change positions, they've just kind of taken on extra. So if those two changes, I would just like to see those. I think it would clarify it, not.
Right, this is just our first read, and then
Yep.
once we had it discussed tonight, then we take it to our vote, so.
Okay, perfect.
Do we need to, we need to have a motion before the board discusses?
Mhm.
I move the Colstrip Public Schools Board of Trustees approves CFA math stipend MOA as amended for the 24-25 school year.
Second.
Okay, motion and second. Any public comment? Or discussion?
I would like to, it says transfer stipend is requested for the added workload for CHS math teachers due to an employee's maternity leave. I would like to see that us be proactive in this instead of reactive. So maternity leave, you know about for 5 or 6 months. We need to do a better job as a district of getting those things taken care of beforehand so that we don't have to spend excess dollars where it's not needed. Because it's $3,000 each, $6,000 that the district could have put elsewhere.
Yeah, I agree.
Sabrina, can I make a comment?
Go ahead.
Sorry. I did start working on this as soon as I found out that she would be going on maternity leave, and there just are not certified options within the community. We racked our brain. We talked to as many people as we could. We reached out to the university. So I appreciate the 2 teachers that have stepped up to help and the outside help that we have gotten. But I mean, I wish that we had a list of certified teachers in town that were willing to come in and do that, but we just did not.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I agree. I do appreciate those teachers that stepped up
I do
into
too.
those two positions a lot. And I also agree with you, Tiffany, that sometimes it doesn't always look like just finding another certified teacher. Sometimes we have to think outside the box and
Mhm.
look at our scheduling, look at, what we can do with the people we have. And so I think our opportunity for this coming up soon, so we'll be able to
Good.
get it covered, hopefully. Practice, this was practice, we'll do better next
And
time.
math is hard, I think, that's a harder one to
Yeah,
fill, so I think it was
Yeah.
just,
It's,
there's other ones where I think people would step in, where people find this one. I know there was people that were offered and said, I can't do math,
Mhm,
so it made it hard,
mhm.
so.
I just want to make sure that we're doing everything that we can on our end to not have to pay $6,000 every time because we're not being proactive. So just want to make sure.
Yep.
But I do appreciate both of those teachers stepping up for our kids.
So on my end, I will make those changes that you guys have already approved as that part, and then it's not realistic to get a vote tomorrow. In our staff, because we have to do it before or after, and people are allowed to leave right after. So I will get the vote early next week, and I'll have it back to you, and then I'll be in touch with central office on that.
Okay,
Okay,
Sounds good.
thank you.
Thank you.
all right, wait, vote, yep, Wade,
Abstain.
Tiffany,
Aye.
Angie,
Aye.
aye. Okay, work session 6 is the communication work session. Does anyone have anything they need to talk about in this part? Did you want to talk?
I do, yeah. I went to, on Friday, in Steve's absence, I went to the quality of life meeting, held here at the high school. So present were, 7 of us total, from on the quality of life board. The quality of life is asking, they said that in their bylaws, they have, the board, the superintendent and board chair, that sit on their board for all of their, activities that they are over. They asked me to be a part of it. I told them that I was not able to make that decision until it came to the board because it says the board chair, and in our policies, it's always been the board chair and the superintendent. I did ask for what days they'd like to generally meet. They said they don't really have set days. The next meeting is January 14th at noon at CPRD. They would like somebody from the board to be there. They also would like it to be the same person so that it doesn't have to continually be like catching someone up.
Mm-hmm.
So I told them I would bring that back to you guys and we would discuss what we needed to do.
I'm good if we, even if we change the policy to just say a representative. I don't think there's anything that the quality of life would do that would require the chairperson to be the person there.
That's kind of what I was thinking. And we already have the superintendent attending, and I feel like when he's there, he can bring back anything that we would need to know just as easily as like one of us could bring it back,
Mm-hmm. So we would have to ask them to change their bylaws.
Right.
We've looked at this before, and I'm unavailable because I work in Lamdeer and they have their meetings at noon. So the only time I can make it is on a Friday, which doesn't happen every time. Same with you. Steve said he can't do it with his work schedule. So it's
hard for me to drive all the way in at noon and then either have to like wait till my kids get out of school or drive back if I've got things going on out there.
Yeah.
And I know that you're busy too. Noon is hard.
I know.
Especially when all of our other meetings are always
in the evening.
In the evenings and afternoons.
Yeah, in the evenings, it's a lot easier because then.
Does there have to be a board representative there if you're there?
That's what we don't think we need.
Yeah, I think it's more that just, they like the involvement. But like Tiffany
I
said,
get
I've been
it.
to the last two, and
Yeah.
anything that would need some kind of approval, I can bring back, so. But I mean, they want involvement, of course,
Right,
but,
right.
And it's not
That's
that
good
none of us want to be involved, it's that
right.
that's hard.
That time is just really tough.
It is tough. And everybody else that's on the quality of life board is in town right here.
Mhm.
So they're able to be there over their noon hour or whatever.
Can we talk to them? Who's?
Bill
Their
Newmiller
policy,
is
Their bylaws.
Yeah.
Mhm.
the president, I believe.
Okay. Well, I'll just catch Steve up when he gets back.
Okay.
And see if he just wants to reach out, and between him and you guys can ask if we can just
Yeah, I'm in touch with them.
opt out of that.
We've been emailing each other quite a bit and
Okay,
doing some plans for this coming month and things, so.
okay.
Any way you wanna work it.
Okay.
That's all I have for.
Communication.
Mhm.
Anything else for communication? Okay, transportation work session, we have transportation report.
Okay, so we do continue to have a shortage of drivers. We have several drivers that are in the pipeline. They will be stand-ins, we don't have a permanent route driver. Potentially, Michelle Walker, she's currently a para at the high school, may be able to do the in-town route depending on how we can work out her schedule. She has expressed interest in that. We also, there are two of them that have completed the online portion of the training. Now we just need to set them up with a driver and a bus so that they can actually get out and drive the bus before they go take their test. So there is some relief there. Also, we used the 2-route system again on the 22nd, last Friday, and it was successful both in the morning and in the evening. We didn't leave any kids anywhere. We didn't lose any kids anywhere. So it worked really well. I know that the biggest problem with that is at the elementary school, get them lined up so they get on the right bus. And they have been outstanding in getting those kids where they need to be. That is kudos to them, and it is really appreciated. Friday was doubly challenging because we had the road construction out here. It was conveniently on and off, and so that was a lot of fun. There has been, I emailed Danelle at OPI because I didn't see anything in state regulations regarding the Suburbans, because I know we had expression of concern over as they get higher miles and higher in years, whether we can continue to use those. As long as they pass safety inspection, as long as they're current, and then we're good with it, as long as the maintenance is kept on them. So if there are no mileage or age restrictions, so we're not gonna hit a hard wall on those. There has been a suggestion that we try to sell a couple of the larger, the cheese box buses, and try to get like 4 smaller yellow buses that are equipped with the arms and the flashing lights and everything to use for in-town routes. Those don't need a driver with a CDL. The drawback of them is they only hold 50, like the most you can drive without a CDL is a 15 passenger. So if it comes to that, we may have to consider that, deal with that the way we need to. As far as activities go, the big thing we did host was the District 10 Honor Choir and Band. That was a pretty spectacular performance. Mr. Croft did a fantastic job of getting all those kids in, organized, fed, and with zero disruption to the school day. So that was really well done. As far as athletics go, our volleyball team finished 3rd in the district, and that was a pretty good finish for them. I think they proved to themselves that they can play with just about anybody in the state at this point. So it's going to be exciting to see next year where they're a year older and those kids have matured, and those young ladies will, I think, continue to make us proud. Football, we had 3 players make the all-conference team. which is pretty impressive for a team that didn't make the playoffs. Kai Heck made it as a punter, and Neil Medicine Bowl made it as kick returner on the first team. And Ricky Yu, as a defensive end, made second team all conference. We had the winter sports. Those have all started. Parent meetings have been held, and they are off to a good start. All of our coaching positions are filled, or we have applicants for them, and that's going to depend on numbers with basketball. And also on the subject of obsoleting uniforms, we are trying to get the coaches to get rid of old uniforms as they're doing their inventories, and then we'll pick them all up and do the process that we need to do to get rid of them and clear up some space. So.
There were 3 volleyball players too that got second team all conference.
Did they?
Kyla Kurzman, Jalia Harris, and Macy Sherman.
Okay, and Jalia is particularly impressive because she's a freshman.
Mm-hmm.
So that's, yeah. So, and again, that's a tough field when you consider, 2 of the top 3 teams in the state came out of our district.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Okay, facilities report. Robert.
Well, I don't have too much for you tonight. Pretty much just keeping up on day-to-day stuff. The two big things that we are going to try, well, one for sure is get that transition done in the cafeteria, get that ordered in for Christmas break. And then at the same time, we're going to try and get the floor in the laundry room at the middle school put in laminate, so that's taken care of.
Okay.
Other than that, I ain't got a whole lot.
Have we looked at the ventilation system in Pine Butte?
What's that?
Have we looked at the dryer vent thing at Pine Butte? Have we looked at that?
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
That thing that's on there is designed to catch the wind. They just had it open.
Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't shut to catch the wind. They had it open. So I showed them how it works. They catch the wind.
Okay. So is that still a fire hazard?
It's never been brought up on any safety inspections by the state or anybody.
Okay. Okay. I haven't went in and looked at it, so I don't know. Thanks, Robert.
Okay, deferred maintenance list. We have a special Wade's take.
Wade's take, that's right.
Let's go, Wade. Can't wait.
Wade's take.
So basically what I did is I took the list that we have and it's duplicated on that sheet, which I don't quite get that anyways. But regardless, I took off all of the, first of all of the estimated costs, because I have no idea when those estimated costs were put in there.
Mm-hmm.
And more than likely they're outdated. And so we really need to just kind of rehash that whole part of it. I didn't remove anything. I did split it up into 3 different tabs as soon as Evan can get it up on there. Yeah, you're good. We'll talk about the third one more in detail when I get to it, but maintenance, capital projects, and centralization. So the maintenance part of it, this is Robert's, his baby essentially. This is what he's been working on, and I know that the list is daunting. And I don't know, if you wouldn't mind looking over this list and seeing which ones have already been completed, and then just take them off the list. And I'm okay if we change this, if this is not the way we want to look at this. But it made sense to me to split it up into the three, because there are just some things that were on that deferred maintenance list that just, they made my blood boil to have them on a maintenance list, because they aren't maintenance. They're just, I mean, they're things that'll happen at the end, or there are things that, that won't happen at all if centralization doesn't happen. I mean, those types of things. So I thought, well, we'll split it out this way first, and we'll see if everybody likes it or not. Essentially, so this maintenance list, it's pretty close to kind of that day-to-day stuff that Robert was talking about, just painting, replacing doors, replacing carpet. I mean, the smaller jobs that are taken care of, kind of every day, and then during the summer, during the fall break, or the winter break as well. So, and I need to go through with this list with the administrators to see if there are other things that need to be added to these lists, and then just kind of go from there. So the maintenance one is kind of, that one we can kind of just gloss over. The capital projects, that is the larger projects that I pulled from the deferred maintenance list and then added a few, and crossed off some of them because they get incorporated into the sports complex part of that. And I know that there are things on here. I'm thinking of, like, Alicia, the pink bathrooms, and those types of things. I don't know if you want those on that list or not, but I would love to update those bathrooms as well, and get those, I guess, out of the 70s or whatever, wherever they were at.
They are coming back.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. So, I don't know if you like them. Maybe you like them, you like too. But
done some things with them already that we're trying to fix.
Yeah. So, but these are the big ticket items. The concrete out in the upper parking lot, or in the parking lot here, the asphalt in FBMS's parking lot. Those things, I think we add to that, those capital improvements, that capital project that we go out. And this is really kind of the portion that we talked about on Wednesday, of adding everything that we could, that we thought would be a big project, and then having a 20-year maintenance plan on especially the sports complex, but maybe others, to be able to go out to potential funding sources, and then also to the public. I guess what I can do is I can just share this with all of you, and then share it with the administrators as well, and just take a look through that, see if you want to add something to the capital projects. Go ahead.
Sorry, Reed. I think we need to add, I don't think it's on there. If it is, I haven't seen it when Evan's been scrolling, but the Pine Butte pickup and drop off, that's a huge thing. And we need to put that on there if we're gonna do improvement projects. We need to just.
And I think that's
demo that.
number 12, or the road 12 right there, the parking lot access.
Okay, got it.
Rail and walk.
Okay, so that's
Yeah.
that area, like where the buses stop and
I
parking.
believe so. It was a big ticket item in the deferred maintenance. It was
Okay.
like $250,000, item. And so I
Okay.
thought, well, that's
I wasn't
probably
sure.
what that
I
is.
wasn't sure what that meant, so I
Yeah.
just
Is that-
assumed.
Is that talking about, like, we're to do a ramp instead of having the steps coming off of the bus barn?
No.
So that we could drop the buses up at the top?
No, we're
and then
not.
come
I
down?
don't think that Bart wants to do that at all. I mean,
Okay.
that's his call, and he doesn't. When I did my walkthrough at Pine Butte, we had talked about, like, big wish list items, and one of those things is getting that parking area down there where the teachers park and everybody parks. Get that totally demoed out so that he has access to get his kids safely on and off the buses to their parents. And we can figure out staff parking or whatever somewhere else. But the biggest concern is getting those kids either to their vehicles safely or on the bus safely without all of the inner workings going on. So I'd like to see that on there as well, if we're gonna do things like that.
Yeah, and these are the things that we're gonna have to go and add to a design,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, put it out for design.
Yeah.
And they would be something that we would get the numbers back and say, okay, is this something that we can add to the huge project that we're dealing with, which, I mean, the sports complex is part of it, but, you know, the bathrooms are part of it. And then I had the concrete, the asphalt, the lighting in the gymnasium. And we can add, take off what, I mean, again, I'll just share this with you and we'll just kind of go back and forth with it. And hopefully we can come up with a consensus fairly soon so that we can go out for design bid.
So the RFQ that we sent out was for architect for 5 years.
Right.
So once we choose that person, I think they would do all of that, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. They would coordinate it, you know, whoever needed to do the design work on it. So.
Okay.
So the next tab, the centralization tab. So I was thinking through this today and yesterday as I was reading through the deferred maintenance list. I know that we have targets for centralization, and then we've set those. But I think we also probably need to have targets for when we spend money, especially for Frank Bratton Middle School. Especially these, you know, looking at you know, leveling up, you know, and some of the bigger projects there that would, I guess, I mean, that are big ticket items, you know, leveling up the weight room floor, and, or, you know, bringing up the area in the wood shop. Those are huge projects. And I think that we probably need to just kind of set targets with, you know, spending funds for those types of projects as well. And I, you know, looking at maybe a 5-year average of what the elementary school has, you know, as far as enrollment, and seeing how that's going to feed through the middle school. And if we are going to get to that point where we, you know, hit that target that we've set for centralization, and if we're not, then we can allocate money to these type of projects. They're not, I mean, a lot of them aren't, you know, crucial. They're just normal projects that you would do on a building that you want to maintain. So I wanted to, especially Alicia's, I mean, your input on this, but I believe setting a target to say, okay, you know, we're planning on continuing on, you know, status quo for the next 5 years at least, because we see the trend coming from the elementary school, from the middle school, going into the high school, is going to either increase or maintain our level right now. So what are your thoughts?
Well, I can't see that because I don't have my glasses. I would agree with those kind of things. I think the centralization thing, I think there's some things on there that's not needed at this particular time. I think there's reasons why that was on the deferred maintenance list without going into too many details on that. I think there's some easier, quicker, cheaper fixes for some of those items as well. And so I am game for that. I mean, I see that. But I think that's workable, doable. I would rather see, you know, the monies or whatever being spent to the other pieces on that maintenance. tab, some of the different things that we need to do. There's some projects, as we all know, from the middle school that's been put on hold for the last 15 years at least, with the talk of centralization. So with that, it would be nice to be able to see some of the things that are updated within the building first before we get into some of the concrete work or, lifting things up on the outside just because of the situation and circumstances that we have for living in Colstrip anyway. So I would agree with that, Wade.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, what are you guys' thoughts on setting targets? And I mean, we don't have to do it tonight or even at the December meeting, but just kind of coming up with a target to be able to say, okay, let's spend, more money at Frank Bratton because, we can see that who's coming is actually going to continue, or we're going to continue to be the size of school we are.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I think we can already see that enrollment is up in elementary school.
Yeah, we've had to get
Hiring
some more teachers and stuff, so.
If you're open to guest comment, Trey Croft is on the call and he had,
Yeah, definitely.
Sure.
And actually, before Trey speaks, I want to go back to the maintenance tab so he can see what I put on there.
Stage.
And we, yeah, and hopefully it showed up because I just put it on there just a minute ago. But we did get a quote for the stage, and it was like $17,000 for Western Floors to come in and redo the stage. And I mean, that's well within Mr. Ochoa's purview.
Yeah, I got that.
So I think it's all the way down to the bottom. But anyways, go ahead, Trey. Oh, it's not.
Yeah, so I was looking at it and I was like, oh, I don't see it on there because I think that there's a different version that's posted on the board doc because I'm not seeing the tabs that you guys have.
Oh, yeah, that's just for him.
Sorry. This
Okay.
is my take on the, this is our special super secret one. And, if anybody wants weight on the maintenance list, they can have it. I don't care. So.
I think this is great, and I think we need to keep bringing it up to every meeting until we can get something finalized that we could put forth to our voters.
Yeah.
So
And
they
I
can
think
see.
voters want to hear that there is a plan for the middle
Yeah.
school, but what it is that we are looking at enrollment, we are not just gonna let it sit for another 30 years or whatever. So I think that's good.
I think that the voters are definitely behind us in that let's do it. Let's put it on a 20-year bond. Let's fix everything, not just one thing.
Yep.
The consensus that I heard was not to just focus on athletics and the sports complex, but to focus on the educational part too, of actually where our students are getting their education. So I feel like all three buildings are important to look at and get on that bond so that we can set the district up for success for the next 20 years and beyond. But 20 years is what the bond would be, so 20 years.
So next steps with this sheet would be building principals to look at it.
Yep.
And then Robert, make sure that there's not stuff on there that's already been done. I had one question about all those broken doors. Are they all really broken, and who decided they were broken?
So, about 2 years ago, we had Corey Crowder from Architectural Specialties come in, and I walked around with him, and we did a door analysis of all the doors. And there's we have since replaced a few of them, but
What does broken mean in that analysis? Like, what does that mean?
they're delaminating and falling apart
Oh,
and been screwed back together 8 times
Oh,
type,
okay.
just trash. So,
But that's really more maintenance than capital.
That's why it's under maintenance.
Okay, got it.
I just had a question, because
Okay,
I
got
saw
it.
all the broken
I did
doors
too,
and I
and
was like, someone was raging.
they wanted to come together,
Man.
maybe come in and do them all, but doors are very expensive.
They are.
So we've been doing them as they completely fail, so I think we did 3 or 4 last last year, we did a couple the year before. I mean, we're always somewhere between 2 and 5 every year, it seems like. So it's a slow process. I mean, but
Do they install them or do we?
we do, as long as they're not something crazy. It's just a matter of putting new hinges on and putting up the door, putting the hardware on, so they come ready to go for the hardware.
All right, do you guys think you would have time to review this list before the next meeting? Okay, and then just to you?
Yeah.
To you?
Yeah, I'll just send this to, to all the admin.
Okay.
And, we'll just,
So when you say review, just take a look at it and see if there's anything we wanted to delete from it, or how do you want us to?
Both.
Delete and add.
yeah, and especially on the Google Sheets, it'll show who added it, so, or even we just make a column of who added there, so.
We
So
can
you
just make comments on there too,
Yep.
whatever.
So just add right onto your document, or you want us to
Yep.
make a copy and, or just add right onto the
Just
one
add
working
right
document?
onto this, yeah.
Okay.
Yep. I'll take weights.
We'll leave it,
off.
leave it.
Leave Wade's take, that way everybody knows.
And if there's something on there that got put on there but you don't agree with, I would make a note of that too, and we could get rid of that or look at a different option for that.
So would things, just a question to shore some things up a little bit, we've talked about in the past about continuing the project of the LED lighting within all the buildings to get that up to par again.
Mhm.
Is that something that you want to have on that deferred maintenance as well?
Yeah, and that's actually on the maintenance side, because we've met with Brady, and walked through, but that's, it's hard to get anything from him. I know Robert has tried, and it's hard to get anything from the contractor to actually come and do the work, so.
So then, that's my next question then too, like once, and I know I'm just like looking out at in the future here, but once we shore this up then, because that's kind of a constant thing that we continue to discuss and talk about, is how are we going to bridge that gap then? Are we going to be seeking then, outside services and contracting with them?
I think the RFQ, once we
Okay.
select who that is,
Mhm.
if we can't get somebody here in town to do that,
Right.
and if it's something that's just gonna, take Robert's time, we'll just send it out again and say, find somebody to come in and do this.
Okay, that's good to hear. Thank you.
Anything else on deferred maintenance?
I think thank you for doing this, I
Yes,
think
thank
that
you
was
so
really
much.
good.
And then make sure we clarify, Bart, what you, make sure that matches with what you wanted done
Yep.
for the busing and that, I think.
Yeah, I just didn't change anything on there, because
That was the only thing that.
I looked at that and I went, well, 250,000, that's not just, a sidewalk and a rail. So, I went, well, that's a bigger project, but.
I think we put it on there, Bart. Put the big one on there.
Would the 250,000 cover what you want, or do you?
We're not putting prices on it.
We did,
No,
we took the
no.
price off,
Yeah,
that's right,
yeah.
okay.
I
But I
just,
think we just need to be clear of what that is then.
Yeah.
right? So we
I
can
think
get
it'd be
it-
easily $500,000 probably.
Yeah.
To come in and demo all that out and,
It needs to be redesigned.
It does.
Somebody
Right,
that
it
knows
does.
what they're doing. needs to
Yeah,
look
yep.
at it.
Okay, I think we just need to make sure we're clear on what that item is, so when you
Yep.
do give us.
and you can put that, and we can put that on there too. We can give reasons. If we need to, we can go line by line as a
Mhm.
board and say, okay,
Yep.
we're gonna we're doing this sports complex for, X, Y, and Z.
Mhm.
We're doing this at the middle school for whatever. We're doing this for student safety at Pine View. And that way, we're transparent with the community too.
Yeah.
On why we're doing what we're doing. And the administrators can put their take on it, why they want the things that they want, for their students and their buildings. And then we can present it that way.
Mhm. And that's for the capital projects. So for the maintenance list, I think if we look at that at least every work session, if not every board meeting.
Yep.
And just
Start
double
going
check
down
with
it.
Robert, if there's a whole list of electrical, we just bring in an electrician
Yeah.
to get it all done. We go through all the plumbing, we can present them with a whole list of things to do.
I would like to see that maintenance tab, which we have case, I feel like we fell off of getting our case reports because we had been getting case reports on what things were, where things were, the status of everything. So I would like to see us either go back to that using case or to get this maintenance list updated monthly at our meetings. So we can say, okay, lines 42 through 50 have all been done. So we can actually see the movement of things.
And I think they are still using case. They're just smaller items.
Yeah.
So.
Your day-to-day stuff, I mean, there is some other stuff on there that's a little bigger, but it's mostly like total flush, balanced out,
So we could do the same thing that Evan presents in his report. He says the number of tickets that were submitted for the month, the number that were closed. That would be nice to have.
It would.
Any of them that are open for over 60 days, maybe we need to know why. Do you need more resources? Something like that. So I think having those analytics.
Don't get into a loophole.
Yeah, would kind of help. So if we could start adding those.
The other thing I think that would be good about that too is to start getting into that rhythm, and then it shows the community, hey, look, we're gonna ask for this bond for this amount of money. We're already doing this. Like, here's our maintenance stuff. Here's what we're checking off. Here's how we're keeping our checks and balances. I think that along with the reasonings why we want to improve things, this would look really good.
Yeah.
Hey, look, they're having a monthly maintenance thing. So they're between the maintenance department and our administrators and our superintendent and our board, we're all on the same page with what we're doing with maintenance. So then it's all out there and it's transparent for everybody.
I agree. So can you show him how to do that?
Yeah, and I can even set up an automatic report. I was just looking at that today with some questions Alicia had asked me, and then I was looking at reports on my own. So Case has an automated report setting that I can just set that to email maybe to Chris or to Scott once a month, and they can just wrap that into a board agenda or however you want to look at that, but it can just shoot out to anybody through email.
I think it would go on this meeting in the facilities report, just like you're doing with yours, same timing.
And would you want to see, so you want to see open tickets, but then do you also want to see closed tickets to get and because we could do a couple of them, like you could do a month-to-date report, and then it could also be a year-to-date report, and I would get, like the month-to-date would see everything opened during that month, and I think, like the report I was playing with, I could see tickets opened in this past month, and that also include the state if they were closed within the last month. So they were opened within the last month, and you'll see for the current state. But then we can do like a per quarter or per year. I mean, you can get a really long list of a lot of closed tickets, and then you can just use a spreadsheet to filter it out. So you'd like to see like a month to date and a quarter to date? Would you also like to see a year to date?
Maybe school year to date?
Yeah. Okay.
And then is there a report that shows any that have been open for 60 days or 90 days that haven't been closed
I
yet?
think so, yeah.
Okay.
There's a lot of
That would be
options
helpful
in
too.
there.
Because then we would know if there's something we need to do to facilitate some of those older ones.
Yeah, that way they're taken care of and.
Yeah, just write some notes down, but yeah, I can play with that.
Okay. That would be useful for you too, probably, huh?
Yeah, I can see how long they've been on there.
Okay.
I got some on there that's been on there for over a year.
There's a setting that you're going to be able to show us on that whole case thing, because I think it's not user-friendly whatsoever.
Oh, yeah.
I just put it in and I can't tell, like I was messaging you today, I can't tell what's done and what isn't done. I feel like I'm repeating myself on it.
Yeah, I'll
Things
send,
that sit for months or a year that I know it's not done.
yeah, I can show you, because
Put it again on there.
everybody has access to log in the case, the full website, and you'll see your ticket view, any tickets that you've created.
I've seen that, but I
So
can't print the stuff that you showed me.
Oh, really? Okay, well, I'll look at your screen and maybe you're missing some settings that I didn't realize were closed off to everybody else. Yeah. I'll follow up with you later. Yeah.
Sounds good.
Practice that.
Okay. Anything else for transportation or facilities? Okay, number 8, work session, technology.
Yeah, so mine's a short one, just open any questions you have. I'll start with the ticket review. This has been helpful for me using case. My team's really busy, but I like having some metrics to say, oh man, we really were busy. So just in the last month, I ran this on November 20th, October 20th. We had 199 new tickets that came in, and we have 160 of them closed, which is pretty great. And that does not include all the walk-ups. So like, for example, Bill sits in the tech window for 2 hours every day servicing high school students, and he can get all kinds of requests and work from students and teachers. And we don't put tickets in for that. So there's more than 199 items that are being asked of us to do. And then also walk-arounds. I mean, that's a perfect time to get new work, just emerging work. I walk through the building expecting people are going to say, hey, quick question. I know it's not a good question when someone says, got a quick question. But I've trained.
I've actually done that too.
Yeah, and that's what I expect. I walk with that, and I'm training Carissa as she's moving around the buildings. But this is how you get work. You just be in front of a teacher, and someone's going to ask a question. So I like that the team's doing really well. Been doing a lot of training with them, and it's great just to thank you guys for hiring 2 members of the team, because sometimes it can feel like, we're a small district-ish, we could probably get by with 1 or 2 people. But the last 2 weeks, I think it's been the first 2 weeks consecutively since I started this job that I've sat at my middle school office for almost full days and just doing paperwork and emails. It's been really great to just send work off to Bill or Carissa, and I know they're going to get it done. So we did a lot of training the first 2 months with Carissa and the first month and a half with Bill, and I'm feeling like it's paying off. I'm like, oh, I should answer that email that was sent 3 months ago. This is good. So thank you for that. And then the messaging app review, just to bring this to you guys' attention, the admin team has seen this. There's been no decision made on it, but our website company, ThrillShare, reached out to me a few weeks ago to want to know if we were interested in a new service they have called Rooms. It's not brand new, but they're slowly rolling it out to their customers. So it's a messaging service designed for teachers, students, and parents, mainly for the teacher to communicate with parents and students. And it's built into ThrillShare website system. So we're not paying for it right now, so we don't have access to it. But if we did get a subscription to it, it could enhance our school app. And this is the big key for it, is that the Colstrip school app could be the one-stop place for all district communication with parents. So they're getting just website updates, the live feed updates that we're already doing. But if a teacher needs to contact a parent, the teacher can run through this Rooms app, and the parent would have the school app on their phone, and they get a notification that, hey, you have a private message from the teacher. And it integrates with Infinite Campus. So once the roster is set up, it pulls in, and all the student scheduling and what parent is associated with what teacher is all built in to that. It also has the ability to be an add-on for coaches or extracurricular events that we build in, kind of a special roster for that. And it's just a neat idea that it has the potential to take us all back into one area that gives us consistency for communication and gives, I think, a lot of protection from a staff perspective, that there's some oversight and safety nets that administration can be able to get pulled into these messaging services if maybe something's going on with parents or students that administration needs to be involved with. And what I like too is if coaches start to use it, or our sponsors, then we're alleviating the risk of having all this private communication happening in apps that we have absolutely no control over, and no way could we ever request access to a parent's account or even a teacher's account if it's not tied back to something the school controls. So the admin team looked at it. We haven't talked about it fully, but it sounded like there was some good remarks from the principals that saw it, and there's some potential to it, but there's a cost associated with it. So I just wanted to bring it to your attention that that could be coming back as a recommended purchase once admin talks a little bit more about pros and cons.
Would this take away from like would we get rid of Class Dojo then and just do this?
Well, for me, that's the possibility because it's a direct competitor to Class Dojo.
Okay.
But it's not something, and that's something that Bart had brought up, that let's just say if the other two buildings, we don't have a messaging app for high school and middle school, and if we wanted to fast track this and by February of this, this coming February, we turn it on, that doesn't mean we have to turn off Class Dojo at the elementary school.
We can just leave it till the next school year or
Yeah,
whatever.
we definitely parallel it. But my hope would be the elementary school teachers, if the other buildings wanted it, that it would be a good trade-off for Class Dojo. But that would be a whole other discussion of how to deploy it and, onboard people. But it was everything that, at least the little that I know of Class Dojo, the highlights that teachers utilize, rooms is already doing that. And the sales rep even caught on to that to say, yep, this is to replace Class Dojo. Everything that's good about Class Dojo, we do it in our app too.
Would be great to have it for district-wide.
It would.
Especially with sports, because you have all those Facebook pages you have to check. I mean, it would be nice to have one.
It is.
Yeah,
And it's,
one app as a parent even that you could go to instead of 8 different places where you're trying to keep track of everything.
Yeah. So I like the potential of it. I mean, it's still only a question of once, if we did a demo and getting some teachers on, if it's not usable for the teachers, it's gonna be a disaster anyway, so.
Yeah.
But it looks like a slick integration that they've covered a lot of bases. And I mean, then the sales rep brought up those exact questions before we even asked them. I'm like, oh, check that off the list. That's what I was gonna ask. So it sounds like they've talked to other school districts as well and said, this is the common problem in any district they work with of how do we protect our teachers? How do we make sure parents can communicate with teachers, and how can teachers communicate with students as well, but in a protected format. And that stays private. And the sales rep kept mentioning student information privacy, that the parents only have access to the teacher. There's no group chatting going on. Students aren't able to hijack this and start communicating between each other. It's just teacher controls it. District has a kind of a monitoring safety net as needed if teachers need some help with a situation. So anyways, that's just there so you're not surprised by it if in a couple of months they say, hey, we're moving to this.
Great. Sounds good. Thank you. Anything else for technology? Anything for policy? I'm sure we're gonna have a bunch coming up for policy usually. Okay, meeting adjourned.